The cold marble steps of City Hall echo under my black pumps. 1:57 p.m. In 3 minutes, instead of the $250,000 wedding I paid for, a hastily arranged ceremony will begin in this stark government building. I push open the heavy doors to find confused relatives sitting in metal folding chairs. Everyone appears to have dressed in a hurry, their outfits mismatched. For those who expected the dream wedding at Crystal Ridge, this austere venue must be shocking. Mother turns around and sees me, relief washing over her face. "Harper, thank goodness you came." Her pearl necklace clatters with her hurried movements. "We're family," I say quietly. No one yet knows the true meaning of those words. Derek stands with Brooke by the window. Both keep turning every time the door opens, watching me like I'm their savior. The tension radiating from them is visible, like heat waves rising from summer asphalt. I settle into a back seat, gazing down at my hands folded in my lap. These hands that trembled just 3 days ago are now perfectly still. The justice of the peace clears his throat to get attention. Just as the modest ceremony is about to begin, the heavy door opens again. Alan walks in. His well-tailored suit and confident demeanor draw every eye. Seeing the cream-colored envelope in his hand makes my heart skip once. "I apologize for the interruption, but may I have a moment of your time?" Alan's voice is clear and professional. "I'm from Crystal Ridge Events." Confusion spreads through the venue. Brooke's father half rises. Mother's eyes widen in bewilderment. Alan opens the envelope and removes official documents. "This is formal notice of contract violation." He hands copies to both Derek and Brooke. The color drains from their faces. As stated in the contract terms, cancellation penalties totaling $88,000 are immediately due and payable. Silence dominates the room. The dangerous, irreversible silence of glass shattering. Brooke's mother speaks first. "What are you talking about? What sponsor?" Mother steps forward. "There must be some mistake. Who is paying for this wedding? Who is paying for this wedding?" Brooke's father's voice echoes through the room. For the first time since entering City Hall, I stand. All eyes turn to me, and I feel a strange calm, as if I've stepped outside myself to watch this scene unfold. My voice is clear and unwavering, until I was uninvited by text message. The room falls completely silent. Only the ancient wall clock marking time breaks the moments that feel like eternities. "I didn't ruin your wedding," I continue. "I simply stopped funding your lie. Now, let me take you back to where this all began. 3 days earlier." My phone screen glows accusingly with a text message. Each word pierces my heart like a tiny dagger. My hands shake as I read it again, harboring the foolish hope that somehow the words might rearrange themselves into something less cruel. "We've decided to keep the wedding small and intimate. We hope you understand. Thanks again for everything." A tear splashes onto my phone, blurring Brooke's name. I wipe it away with my thumb, leaving a streak across the glass. Warm evening light filters through my living room windows, casting a golden glow across the polished hardwood floors and carefully chosen furniture. Everything is in its proper place. Everything except this ugliness now burning in my palm. "Thanks again for everything." I whisper the words aloud, my voice cracking in the silence. My chest tightens, and I struggle to draw a full breath. The $25,000 venue deposit check sits in a cream-colored envelope on my coffee table. Written in my careful handwriting across the front, "Derek and Brooke, dreams come true." I had planned to deliver it tomorrow. I reach for the framed photo beside it. Derek and me at the lake when I was 12 and he was 14. His arm is slung around my shoulders, both of us squinting into the sun with identical grins. I grip the frame tightly, remembering when I believed we'd always protect each other. The sharp crack of glass startles me. A thin line now runs across Derek's face, splitting his smile in two. But this story really started 3 weeks before that devastating text. Let me tell you about the night that set everything in motion. I sat at my parents' gleaming dining room table, surrounded by the familiar scent of mother's pot roast, when Derek and Brooke made their announcement. "We're engaged." Derek's voice boomed as Brooke extended her hand, a modest diamond catching the light. Father immediately popped champagne he'd clearly been keeping ready. Mother's eyes glistened with tears as she whispered, "My baby boy," cupping his face in her hands. Finally, glasses were raised, toasts were made, and then came the inevitable discussion of wedding plans. "We've been looking at Crystal Ridge," Derek said casually, as if mentioning a fast food restaurant rather than the most exclusive venue in 3 counties. "It's exactly what we've always wanted." Brooke stared at her plate. "But we can't afford it," she admitted quietly. Not after Derek's been between opportunities for so long. 2 years of unemployment, that's what between opportunities meant. The table fell silent. I saw disappointment creeping into Mother's eyes, Father's tight smile, and something cracked open inside me. That old familiar need to finally earn their approval. "I'll pay for it," I heard myself say. "The full venue deposit. Consider it my gift." The shock on their faces was almost worth it. For once, I was the center of attention at our family table. For once, Derek was hugging me like he meant it instead of the awkward pat release I usually received. "Harper, you've always been so practical," Mother said, sounding genuinely surprised. "It's nice to see you being generous for once." For once. As if I hadn't been the one working 2 jobs through college while Derek partied his way to a barely earned degree on our parents' dime. As if I hadn't climbed steadily through my firm while Derek bounced between ill-conceived startups. As if my achievements, the promotion last year, the house I'd bought on my own, were footnotes while Derek's smallest efforts earned standing ovations. I immediately began asking detailed questions. "Have you set a budget for flowers? Have you looked at catering menu options? Have you booked a photographer yet?" I noticed Brooke and Derek exchange glances, a moment of shared bewilderment. "Harper, slow down," Derek said with a laugh. "We just got engaged." But I couldn't stop. I wanted to maximize the impact of my $25,000 investment. I wanted to know the details, make plans, ensure everything would be perfect. That night, as I was leaving, Brooke said quietly, "Harper, thank you so much. But we'd also like a little time to think things through ourselves." Looking back now, my enthusiasm might have overwhelmed her. It was her dream wedding, but I might have appeared to be taking over. "He's finding himself," Mother would say whenever anyone dared mention Derek's latest failure. I had found myself years ago. Found myself alone. 2 weeks later, the signs became impossible to ignore. The signs were there from the beginning. Wedding planning meetings I wasn't invited to. Brooke's vague answers when I asked about my role. Derek changing the subject whenever I inquired about details. Discovering venue selection through an Instagram post rather than a conversation, even though I had researched and recommended it. But I ignored them all, kept writing checks, kept hoping. An email arrived from Alan, the coordinator at Crystal Ridge. "Ms. Evans, thank you for the venue walkthrough yesterday. As stated in the contract, the paying party retains final decision-making authority. Please contact me with any questions." A polite, professional email. At the time, I thought it was routine business correspondence. I had no idea that weeks later, this message would take on crucial significance. The wedding website loads with a cheerful chime that mocks my raw nerves. Soft pastels frame Derek and Brooke's engagement photo, his arm wrapped possessively around her waist, both beaming at the camera. I scroll to "Our Story" and feel my breath catch. After years of saving and planning, Derek and Brooke are proud to have created this special day through their own hard work and dedication. The words blur as my vision swims. Not a single mention of my $25,000 venue deposit. Not one acknowledgement of the catering bill I paid last week. Their own hard work apparently included cashing my checks. 1 week before that fateful text message, I made a discovery that changed everything. A notification appears on my phone. Brooke has accidentally shared her private wedding Pinterest board with me. She's not tech-savvy and has made similar mistakes before, once accidentally sending personal messages to a group chat. This is probably another such error. Curiosity wins over reason, and I open it immediately. Below a photo of bridesmaids in sage green dresses, Brooke's comment cuts deep. Thank God Harper won't be there in one of her power suits making us look bad. Already talked to Derek about making sure she's uninvited. I stare at the screen, reading the words over and over. This wasn't an impulsive decision. They had intentionally, calculatedly excluded me. They considered my appearance, my success, my very existence an embarrassment. I find another pin. A comment Brooke tagged to a friend. Derek's family has been accepting of me, but his sister is a bit intimidating. My mom said the wedding is the bride's day, and that finally gave me the courage to decide. For a moment, something like sympathy crosses my chest. Maybe Brooke had her own anxieties. Maybe she felt intimidated by my presence and feared I might overshadow her special day. But still, the method of exclusion was wrong. I wasn't even given a chance to discuss it. My pain at being shut out closes the door to understanding once again. My hands shake as I take screenshots. For evidence, and to remind myself later that I'm not crazy. Instagram delivers the next blow. A series of photos appear under the hashtag #BrooksBachelorette. There's mother raising a champagne flute at an upscale restaurant. Brooke wearing a rhinestone tiara, surrounded by laughing women I half recognize from family gatherings. Even my cousin Melissa, who I'd had lunch with just 2 weeks ago, appears in several photos with her arms around Brooke's shoulders. No invitation had arrived for me. Not even a casual mention that it was happening. After the Pinterest post, I realized this too was part of the calculated exclusion. Mother's email chimes in. Need the final venue payment by tomorrow. No pleasantries, no acknowledgement of the elephant trampling through my life. Just another demand, as if I'm nothing more than an ATM with legs. Before I can set the phone down, it vibrates again. Derek this time. Brooke's parents are asking about the catering deposit. And then moments later, from Brooke herself, can you send me the floor plan so I can make a small change? A cascade of demands, each more audacious than the last. Not one of them mentions my uninvitation. Not one acknowledges the knife they've plunged between my shoulder blades. That same evening, I had a session with my therapist that changed everything. Dr. Winters adjusts her glasses and studies me from across her office. Afternoon light catches the silver in her hair as she leans forward. Harper, this pattern has existed your entire life, she says, her voice gentle but firm. You've been describing it in our sessions for years. I nod, fingers tracing the leather arm of the chair. What would happen, she asks, setting her notepad aside, if you stopped enabling their behavior? The question hangs in the air between us. Simple yet seismic. They'd have to face consequences, I whisper. The words feel foreign on my tongue. Something shifts inside me. A physical straightening of my spine, shoulders pulling back as if shedding an invisible weight. Dr. Winters notices it too, a slight smile touching her lips. The next day brought a confrontation I'd been avoiding for years. That night, I did something I'd been avoiding for days. I called Mother directly instead of responding to her text. She answers on the second ring, irritation already coloring her tone. Harper, I've been waiting for you to transfer the final payment. I'm not sending any more money until we discuss my role in the wedding, I say, my voice steadier than expected. A beat of silence, then the familiar guilt trip. After everything we've done for you. But tonight, something has changed. Name one thing, I say, surprising myself with the challenge in my voice. Name one thing you've done for me that wasn't actually for Derek. The silence that follows is profound. A vacuum where her immediate defense should be. I can't even hear her breathing on the other end. Time seems suspended as the weight of that silence presses down. My own heartbeat becomes the only sound as I feel truth being spoken in the form of silence. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. In that silence, the answer comes through more clearly than any words could convey. She hangs up without answering. Within an hour of Mother's call ending, the counterattack began. Father called my workplace. Sarah from reception walked to my office with a confused expression. Your father is on the line. He says it's a family emergency. I take the call. Harper, this is ridiculous. Father's voice has lost its usual composure. Can't we discuss this as a family? Your mother is upset. I'm upset too, I reply quietly. About being excluded from the wedding. That's a misunderstanding. I hang up. I'm surprised my hands aren't shaking. The morning was relatively quiet. But by afternoon, the family network had mobilized. 5 p.m. A text from Aunt Judith. Family is family, Harper. Don't be stubborn. 6 p.m. Uncle Martin. Your mother is crying. This has gone too far. 7 p.m. And surprisingly, from my second cousin, whom I hadn't spoken to since high school. Can't you compromise for family peace? Late that afternoon, my cousin Lisa calls. Harper, I got a call from Aunt Martha. What's happening? The whole family is worried. It becomes clear that messages are flooding the family group chat. Mother is claiming I've made her sick with stress and suggesting my stubbornness is to blame. It feels like a military operation, organized, systematic pressure. Each message paints me as the villain, describing my legitimate anger as stubbornness or being difficult. No one asks why I'm angry. No one tries to verify the facts. That night, Emma appears. Wine bottles in each hand, concern etched across her features. I thought your phone might be broken, she says, brushing past me. I called 10 times today. I show her my phone. 37 unread messages, 15 missed calls. All from family members. They're surrounding me, I admit. Like I'm the villain destroying the family. Emma whistles, looking at the phone. Classic manipulation tactics. The perpetrator becomes the victim, making the real victim the villain. The night before I made my decision, 3 friends gathered in my kitchen for what would become a war council. Emma scribbles on the legal pad spread across my kitchen table with a red pen. $25,000 for the venue, $8,000 for catering, $4,000 for the band. Her red curls fall forward as she bends over the growing list. Flowers, photographer, wedding cake, all in your name. Across from us, Jackson adjusts his glasses, reviewing the contracts I've laid out. You have every right to cancel these contracts, he says, tapping a clause in the venue agreement. There's a penalty, of course, but significantly less than the full amount. Jackson hesitates for a moment. Actually, I have a similar experience myself. I'm not sure I should say more than legal advice, but he swirls his wine glass before continuing. When my sister got divorced, the whole family pressured me to represent her ex-husband. For family harmony, they said. What did you do? Emma asks. I refused. My sister was my family. The ex-husband wasn't blood. But it took me months to feel confident it was the right choice. Jackson looks at me. The guilt you're feeling right now, that's a product of manipulation, not love. Emma suddenly stands and gets another wine bottle from the kitchen. When she returns, there are tears in her eyes. Time for my confession, she says, sitting down. My parents did something similar. They favored my brother, and I was always the responsible daughter, the one who fixed problems. Last year, when my brother went bankrupt for the 3rd time, my parents asked me to pay his apartment rent. When I refused, they called me a cold person who abandons family. Emma's voice trembles. I didn't talk to anyone for 6 months. But seeing what you're doing now, I realize I made the right choice too. My boss suggested I take a personal day tomorrow. I tell them, refilling Emma's glass. She said to take care of myself first. Maria is a good person. Emma nods. By the way, she called. She wanted you to know her brother did the same thing to her last year. She was actually crying. For you. The story about Maria's tears warms my chest. We might have learned the wrong definition of family. Jackson says slowly. Blood doesn't make family. Mutual respect and love make family. Late that night, after the three had left, I read the encouragement notes they'd left me. From Emma, your courage encourages me. From Jackson, tomorrow, I'll support you legally and emotionally. And a text from Maria, you're not alone, we're here. I realize I've built a support network around me without even noticing. People who value me for who I am, not what I can provide. The next morning, I sat at my desk with my phone in hand, surrounded by an odd calm. The next morning, I sit at my desk, phone in hand, surrounded by a strange calm. Sunlight streams through my office window, illuminating the folder of contracts before me. I dial the first number. Crystal Ridge Events, this is Alan speaking. Hello, Alan. This is Harper Evans. My voice is clear and professional. As the contract holder for the Evans-Mitchell wedding, I'd like to exercise my right to cancel. A pause. Then understanding. Of course, Ms. Evans. I'll need to prepare the paperwork. There will be a 30% cancellation fee. I understand. Please confirm the cancellation in writing. One by one, I move down the list. Greenfield Catering. Summit Photography. Garden District Florals. With each call, a weight lifts. Each cancellation confirmation arrives in my inbox, systematically forwarded to a folder labeled Documentation. By noon, it's done. The wedding that was never meant to include me no longer exists. After the last call, Alan phones my cell directly. Ms. Evans, all procedures are complete. His voice is professional, but carries something personal. If you don't mind, could we talk briefly? Not business related. I agree, and he continues. I mentioned my brother briefly, similar situation. His voice softens. Actually, I should have shared more details. Hearing your situation brought it all back. What happened? 5 years ago, my brother had a dream of opening a restaurant. I wrote his business plan, found investors, got permits, basically did everything. I invested most of my own savings too. Old pain seeps into Alan's voice. When the restaurant started succeeding, suddenly I became unprofessional. I stopped being invited to family dinners, stopped being mentioned in success stories. Eventually, I was told I was hurting the business's reputation. My chest tightens. So you cut ties. Yes, it was the most painful decision, but also the healthiest. What I learned is that some people measure your value by what you provide, not who you are. His words ring with the clarity of truth. What you did today took courage, Miss Evans. Many people don't have the courage to set boundaries, especially with family. Will I regret it? I ask. I think about my brother sometimes, Alan admits. But I've never regretted respecting myself. Family should mean unconditional love, but it shouldn't mean unconditional exploitation. After hanging up, I reflect on his words. Unconditional love versus unconditional exploitation. It took me 35 years to understand the difference. That evening, alone in my bedroom, something unexpected happened. That night, alone in my bedroom, something unexpected happens. Laughter bubbles up from deep inside me, genuine, almost foreign laughter after days of tears and tension. I grab my phone, scroll to a playlist I haven't touched in months, and hit play. Lizzo's Truth Hurts fills the room, and I find myself moving to the beat, dancing across the hardwood floors in sock feet. I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch. I sing along, voice cracking but spirit soaring. The breakdown comes mid-twirl. My knees give way, body folding onto the edge of my bed as tears flow freely. But these aren't tears of grief. They're tears of relief, washing away years of accommodation and apology. When I wake the next morning, something has changed. The clarity and calm I feel aren't temporary guests, but permanent residents. For the first time in years, perhaps ever, I'm breathing without the weight of family expectations crushing my chest. But Derek wasn't going to let this go without a fight. Derek bursts past my assistant when I'm focused on quarterly projection spreadsheets. Numbers line up in perfect, predictable columns, in stark contrast to my life. Harper. My assistant pokes her head in. You have a visitor. He seems agitated. Derek pushes past her. His face is flushed, hair disheveled. But most striking is the desperation in his eyes. The carefree smile he'd perfected over years of avoiding consequences has completely vanished. Harper, listen to me, he starts, still trying to be rational. This is a misunderstanding. We didn't want to exclude you. I straighten in my chair, hands clasped on my desk. Then why did you text about a small, intimate wedding? That was. Derek stumbles over words. Brooke was nervous. About not inviting the person paying $25,000? That's when his rationality breaks down. You promised. His voice rises as he slams his palms on my desk. Papers scatter, and colleagues around us stop working to stare. 2 years of unemployment, and now this wedding disaster had pushed him to the breaking point. He was doing things he'd never normally do. The venue, catering, everything's gone. His voice gets louder, completely losing self-control. People from neighboring floors start coming to look. Marcus is calling security on his internal line. Legal's Jen appears at the entrance, clearly trying to assess the situation. Behind them, I can see Jackson urgently talking on his cell phone. I won't leave until you fix this. Derek's voice cracks. He's now completely hysterical. Mother's having a breakdown. Brooke won't stop crying. The entire office has gone quiet, all eyes on us. I maintain my composure while responding. That's unfortunate, I say. Especially considering they were expecting a better atmosphere without me. Security arrives. 2 men in pressed uniforms who don't need to touch Derek to make their presence felt. Their appearance finally makes Derek begin to understand his situation. Sir, you need to come with us, the taller one says firmly. You're disturbing other customers. Derek backs toward the door, pointing at me. You're ruining everything. You've always been jealous. You've always tried to make me look bad. As security escorts him out, his final words echo down the hallway. You're dead to this family. I slowly exhale, reorganizing the scattered papers. My hand shakes slightly. Jen approaches and gently places a hand on my shoulder. We've got your back, she says simply. That afternoon, my boss Maria stops by my office. Take all the time you need, she says. Our company supports our people. Let me know if there's anything else. Looking down from my window, Derek's car is gone. But for the first time at work, in life, I feel truly supported by people who actually care about me. And then came the moment of truth. The wedding day itself. Derek's face cycles through shock, anger, embarrassment, and finally dawning horror at what's happening. Mother stands frozen, her carefully constructed facade visibly crumbling. Father stares at his shoes. The justice of the peace, eager to escape this awkward situation, hastily pronounces them husband and wife. There's no applause, no celebratory tears, just the uncomfortable shuffling of feet and the rustle of jackets as guests make quick escapes. Several cousins and uncles approach me with expressions mixing newfound respect and lingering confusion. Aunt Meredith whispers with unexpected warmth, "We should talk soon." I politely decline multiple invitations to explain everything and clear the air. There's nothing more to explain. Truth has finally done what I never could. It spoke for itself at full volume. Walking into the afternoon sunlight, I feel decades of burden lifting from my shoulders. Some people create scenes to be heard. I simply let the consequences of their own actions speak at full volume. 6 months later, everything had changed. Wind chimes dance in the gentle May breeze, weaving their melodic tones toward the blue-purple hydrangeas clustered along my garden path. 6 months have passed since that day at City Hall. 6 months of growth, of carefully tending what matters. You outdid yourself with these hydrangeas, Emma says, raising her wine glass toward the blue-purple blooms. They're thriving. I settle into the adjacent Adirondack chair, watching Jackson and Maria arrange food platters on the patio table. These three people who stood by me when it mattered most now gather weekly in this space we've created together. Chosen family. I finally uploaded my solo travel photos. I say, pulling out my phone and scrolling through images of misty Scottish highlands and stone cottages. 2 weeks of nothing but deciding what I wanted to do each day. Emma swipes through photos, pausing at one of me standing atop a windswept cliff, arms outstretched, face tilted toward the sun. "You look free," she observes. "My counselor says I'm making good progress," I admit. Learning that prioritizing my peace isn't selfish, it's necessary. Jackson joins us, setting down a tray of lemonade glasses tinkling with ice. Speaking of progress, I finally told my brother I won't fund his third startup attempt. His voice carries the same quiet certainty I've been cultivating. "I used the script your therapist taught you." We raise our glasses in an impromptu toast. "To choosing your own family," Maria says, her smile genuine as sunshine. "And to Harper, who showed us all how it's done." My phone chimes with a text from my cousin Elaine, planning my wedding for next spring. "Could we talk? I'd value your advice on avoiding family drama." I consider this for a moment before typing. Happy to talk about healthy boundaries. Coffee next week? 6 months ago, I would have been asked for a check. Today, I'm being sought for wisdom. The difference feels significant. "You seem more confident," Maria observes, studying my face. "Lighter." She's right. The persistent knot of anxiety that lived between my shoulder blades has loosened. My boss noticed it too when he announced my promotion last month. "Your confidence has transformed your work," he said. Actually, my life has changed in concrete ways. I spend weekends based on my own choices rather than family obligations. Saturday mornings for pottery class, Sundays exploring new hiking trails. Simple, but completely my own choices. Instead of funding other people's dreams, I established a small fund for the local women's shelter. The director's eyes widened when I explained it was specifically for women rebuilding lives after family betrayal. "Many don't leave because they can't imagine surviving alone," she told me. "Your story shows them possibility." Last month, I started volunteering at the shelter. Every Tuesday night, I run financial literacy workshops. I help women open their own bank accounts, create budgets, take their first steps toward economic independence. "We were exploited by family too," said Samantha, one participant in a session. "But hearing your story, I learned that setting boundaries isn't an unloving act. It's an act of self-protection." My father's letter still sits on my study desk. 12 pages of handwritten, genuine reflection. He acknowledges their actions in detail and provides not just apologies to me, but insights into why it happened. The most striking passage in the letter: "We focused so much on protecting Derek that we ended up hurting you. Your success highlighted our failures." That's not an excuse, but it's an explanation. Since you were little, you were a strong child, so we assumed you'd be fine. But strong people get hurt too and need love. We forgot that. And the part that moved me most: when you got promoted, when you bought your house, I was truly proud. But I didn't know how to express it honestly. I was ashamed of comparing you to Derek, so I treated your success like it was expected. I should have said, "Well done," and "I'm proud of you." I regret that now. The last line particularly resonated. "I am genuinely proud that you're our daughter. It might be too late, but I wanted you to know that." Yesterday, I finally wrote back. A short but heartfelt letter. "Dad, thank you for the letter. I can't forgive immediately, but I appreciate you trying to understand why it happened. I hope we can repair our relationship gradually with time. But this time, as a relationship of mutual respect. It's not complete reconciliation, but it opens the door to dialogue slightly. Some relationships might be worth rebuilding, but this time on my terms. I hear through the grapevine that Derek and Brooke's marriage is struggling. Financial stress, trust issues, and the lies that formed their relationship's foundation are surfacing. I don't take pleasure in their unhappiness. I just think they're finally learning that actions have consequences. As twilight approaches, I grab my watering can and head toward the newly planted section of my garden. Where deadwood and tangled vines once dominated, fresh green shoots now reach skyward. Sometimes, I say to no one in particular as the setting sun gilds everything in warm light, the healthiest thing you can do is stop nourishing relationships that poison you. Through my open windows, laughter spills from my kitchen where my friends, my real family, are preparing dessert. I turn toward that warmth, a peaceful smile settling naturally on my face. The garden will be here tomorrow. Tonight is for celebrating how far we've all grown. Emma pokes her head out the window. Harper, I'm opening another bottle of wine. This chocolate cake needs the perfect pairing. Coming, I respond. I set down the watering can and take one last look at the hydrangeas. Their blue-purple petals glow in the twilight. 6 months ago, I thought I could buy family love. Now I know it was never for sale. Real love, the kind I found with Emma, Jackson, Maria, and the relationships I continue building, isn't a transaction but a choice. Walking toward the kitchen, my phone chimes again in my pocket. A text from Father. I'd like to talk with you. On your timeline. When you're ready. I stare at the screen, still undecided. Some relationships might be worth repairing. Others might need healthy distance. And some might need to be let go completely. What matters is that I now have the power to choose. No longer someone starving for family approval, but a woman who knows her worth, sets her boundaries, and decides who gets permission to enter my life. Lizzo's Good as Hell starts playing from the kitchen, and I smile, quickening my pace. Tonight is for dancing, laughing, and spending time with people who truly see me and truly love me. And tomorrow I'll continue tending my garden, maintaining my boundaries, and living the beautiful life I've built. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one healthy decision at a time. As I reach for the patio door handle, I turn back to look at the garden. Moonlight illuminates new growth, and everything is in its proper place. For the first time, so am I. This concludes our story of breaking free from family oppression. Sometimes the greatest act of love, for yourself and others, is learning when to say no.